As we approach the end of Season 3 of House of the Dragon, we should be full steam ahead towards the Battle of Tumbleton. However, we make yet another pit stop along the way. Episode 6 features the infamous Butcher's Ball, the final act of one Sir Criston Cole, a character who has been with us since the very beginning. He's rode a dragon and climbed a tower, yet I kind of feel a little let down on how it all played out, with its placement in the episode bemusing me, and I just don't know why they removed that line from Fire and Blood. For many, the season started strong with the Battle of the Gullet and the fall of King's Landing. Then we got something a little different with almost an entire episode told through Rhaenyra's point of view as she settled in to her new role on the Iron Throne. But since then, this run of 3 episodes, 4, 5 and 6, have been a prime example of both some of the best and the very worst House of the Dragon has to offer. Episode 6 is probably my least favourite this year. I wouldn't say it was terrible, it's just more of the same from episode 4 and 5. And for a season that was touted as all-out war, I feel the writers have spent too much time trying to avoid conflicts and to come up with reasons for characters to go on side quests. Perhaps they did blow too much of the budget on the first 2 episodes and had to save the rest for the finale. But I just don't get why they opened with the Butcher's Ball. This should have been the big moment to end on, not some nonsense involving Corlys being ambushed by bull-cut John Roxton. Is Corlys dead? Is he now being taken hostage to Tumbleton? Obviously none of this happens in the books. I guess the writers just needed something for the sea snake. But I'm not a fan of characters teleporting around the map, but okay, we will see how it plays out. As for Cole's death, it's supposed to be anticlimactic. The Lord Commander does not die a hero, fending off countless enemies, nor fall protecting his king. He is sucker punched by arrows and left in the dirt. But many casual fans probably don't know who his murderer is. Who's the archer that killed him? And I just can't believe they cut the line, "I'll have no songs about how brave you died, Kingmaker. There's tens of thousands of dead on your account." I suppose it's not as bad as them forgetting a knight who remembered his vows from Dunk and Egg, but I feel Cole's death feels a little lackluster, and it was buried by the remainder of the episode. I guess it only highlights the bigger issue at hand. 8 episodes is just not long enough to juggle all these characters and multiple plot lines. Perhaps the Dance of the Dragons needed 40 or 50 episodes after all, and this is before we included all the new material and the writers trying their very best to tie everything back to Game of Thrones. But anyways, this episode is very much focused on Team Green. Cole is now dead. Gwaine falls back to Tumbleton, where his cousin Aemond holds the town. We get more insight into Gwaine's relationship with not only Aemond, but now his nephew Daemon. And Gwaine might just be the MVP this episode when he prevented an assassination attempt from a bunch of fake Baratheons sent by Rhaenyra. And Aemond's kryptonite has been exposed. He's just one big germaphobe, so I guess instead of Dragonfire, Rhaenyra should just unleash a strafing run of dragon turds to root him out. And Tywin Lannister cleans up Aegon's mess from last week, but the Broken King sides with Larys after the former Master of Coin can't give him a straight answer concerning whether he was a terrible man or not. I guess Larys' brutal honesty hit home for Aegon, and now they head towards Essos. And I don't know about you, but Aegon might just be the best character this season. His screen time has been slim, but each minute has been extremely valuable. If only they didn't try to make him the worst person alive during season 1. Oh, and yeah, Alicent and Helaena escape Maegor's tunnels. This was the cliffhanger last week, which left us with so many questions. How would they escape? Would Helaena use her convenient powers of foresight to learn of another secret door? Would Mysaria come to their aid, using her own knowledge of the Red Keep's layout? Or maybe one of the castle's newest employees would help them out. Nope, they just sit there and the guards somehow find them. Such a waste of time, such a waste of potential of the previous episode's cliffhanger. I guess its only purpose was to set up Alicent's next mission, where she is being sent to Harrenhal to kill Aemond, which is a complete departure from the books. How is she going to get through the worn-torn lands? How long will this trip take? Will she borrow a jetpack? Honestly, I don't know, but it leaves Helaena on her own in the Red Keep. And now Rhaenyra knows that Helaena is a dragon dreamer, expect a lot of pressure to be put on the poor lass. But perhaps the main talking point comes from Harrenhal itself, where Alys Rivers reveals her master plan to Aemond. Well, kind of, as last season she was Daemon's dealer. helping him see visions of the Long Night, Bloodraven, and even the Mother of Dragons herself, in what seemed like an effort to reunite him with Rhaenyra, and for the Targaryens to be ready to face the White Walkers in many years. Yet this season, she reveals a clutch of dragon eggs laid by Dreamfire many years ago, and she wishes to become the Lady of the Water, and for Aemond to be her Dragon Lord, and through them a new dynasty ruling from Harrenhal, as seen in Helena's quilt. But maybe there's more to it, and we know that Daemon and Aemond will clash above the God's Eye next season, but maybe, just maybe, I'm giving the writers far too much credit. Maybe they're just making it up as they go along. As for Team Black, for every success they have, they suffer more losses. For once, Daemon is the man they should all be listening to. Everyone else just wants to sit on their hands and see if it gets better by itself. Whereas the Rogue Prince wants to take action and get stuff done. He's lost 25 gold cloaks to the Hightower murderers, but later in the episode, the entire squad quits on him, leaving him to put himself in harm's way as live bait. And he succeeds in luring out the killer, but in the end, he's dealt with only one man. And I don't think this is the end of Ormond's schemes. The only way for this to happen is for Ormond to die at Tumbleton, and with the Rivermen and the Winter Wolf still on the march, and no dragon strikes permitted, I guess we'll have to endure this until the finale. Another major talking point is the Iron Throne has finally cut Rhaenyra, suggesting to many that it has rejected her. She hears petitions from the small folk, but her mind is somewhere else. She's juggling far too many problems while solving absolutely nothing. And one of the main issues on her mind is the identity of Sheepstealer and his rider, which looks like is going to be dealt with next week. Because Rhaena shows up this week at the Eyrie, Jane Arryn slaps her about, reminds her that she should not be here. She puts everyone in danger by exposing herself. But honestly, there's not much else to it. It just feels like the writers reminding us the little cave dweller still exists, but they have nothing until next week. As for Baela, she finally shared a kiss with Alan. Whatever, it kind of feels forced. They have very little in common. They've shared very little moments together. But of course, this is a canon moment from Fire and Blood, so they have to get together. But it seems like at times the writers are putting more effort into their own material that they made up, rather than the words written down by George R. Martin. Alan also shares a moment with his father when he is tasked to bring some Velaryon men back to King's Landing to secure the city. Job done, but Corlys is still bitter about Rhaenyra not legitimizing his sons. But Alan reminds his father that it took him many years to recognize his sons himself. But as I said earlier, Corlys has much more pressing concerns, as it looks like he may be taking a trip to Tumbleton. And I still think this original plotline is kind of lame and highlights a lack of understanding of the landscape and the difficulties traversing enemy territory. Everyone's got a Varys jetpack nowadays. But what I did like is how they finally established clear motives for the Dragonseeds. Ulf just wants to have a few beers down the pub with his mates, and Hugh has failed to convince his wife to leave Tumbleton with him, even after his ascension to not only a knight, but the rider of the Bronze Fury. And my favourite moment in this episode was probably when Vermithor snuggles up to his soulmate Silverwing. And George R. Martin has never revealed the true Targaryen dragon family tree, but just like the previous Royal Dragon writers, the Bronze Fury and his wife have definitely provided their fair share of offspring. And remember, the show has divided the dragons into 3 distinctive breeds, based on a horse, a wolf, and a dinosaur, so you can kind of guess who's related to who on the show. But anyways, the character of Hugh still needs a little more work. I guess him being angry with what happened to Kat on the road, and then her rejection might be enough for him, but Ulf's motives are much clearer. More so now that Daemon assaulted him in the streets of King's Landing and left him in the mud. All witnessed by the good people of Fleabottom, who see Ulf as a hero. But overall, a very mixed bag for me. Not a fan of a lot of the new material concerning Corlys and Alicent. There's so much talent in front of the camera, but at times it feels like they're being let down. Are we back into Season 2 territory? Or perhaps we never left? But with only 2 episodes remaining, the infamous penultimate episode, which is usually your main events, where all your big shocking twists and deaths occur, and of course we have the finale, the Battle of Tumbleton. There's still a chance they can deliver a solid end to the season that has felt very front-loaded, with the middle episodes feeling rather hit or miss. But guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 6. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.